Transmitting to you from Old Heart Radio.
Prepare to have your bones chilled and your hairs raised. It's the WacArnold's Brothers podcast.
Welcome home.
Here. Oh, is it now? Is it? We're back to the voice. Yeah, so this is episode 33, I believe. Mm-hmm. Which, you know, is... I don't know. As that number keeps ticking up, I continue to be impressed by it.
So I went to saw Spider-Man last night, and I went with a couple of friends of mine, and I was explaining to one because I work with a friend of mine that I work with got his roommate into listening to the podcast. So last night he was like, "Hey man, I've been listening and I've been loving it." And he gave me a couple ideas that we might have to do down the line. But when I told him we were doing Santa's Sleigh, he was like, "Oh, fuck."
Yeah. It is. It's just one of those movies. Like, if you're familiar with it, that's like, you know, it's just like, it's just, it's a fucking riot, man.
Yeah.
It's so ridiculous. Just throwing it out there. Bill Goldberg as Santa Claus is just a wonderful pick in a way. But do you know if he's done any other like random things, or is it just because I feel like I don't think
so, man. I'm pretty sure it was just this, and like it's just so over the top. Some of the one-liners he has, like I remember when I discovered this movie and just like being in tears laughing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's just fucking absurd. Like, and right out the gate, man, it's absurd.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, just like that opening scene with, there's like, is that like James fucking Caan in there? Or
James
whatever?
Caan, yeah.
And like Fran Drescher and like Chris Kattan.
The other one of note was Rebecca Gayheart, who is she was in one of my favorite 90s horror movies, Urban Legend.
Oh, yeah.
She's like she's the killer in that movie. But she's one of them. And then it's like these two other random people that I don't recognize. But yeah, they're like just this rich fucking like douchey family sitting at dinner complaining about getting Kate Spade instead of Prada or some shit like that. You know what I mean?
Just fucking like absurd non-problems. They say some really random shit during this. Like there's like a sequence where Chris Kattan is like being served potatoes by Fran Drescher, and she's like, "How many potatoes do you want? 1, 2." She's like loading potatoes on his plate, and he's like putting his hand up her skirt in the meantime.
Right.
And it's just like, and then the during like the prayer, after that scene that you're talking about, and these are his words, not mine. James Caan character calls Chris Kattan half a fag. He's like, "I'll stick a fork in you."
Because he's like you said, he sees him with his hand up his wife's.
Like. It's just such a weird sequence of events that you're just going for it at the table there. But like, yeah, during there's just the dialogue, like I said, it's just fucking crazy. But almost like, immediately you get a little bit of this character picture and you see that these people are all assholes, and then just like, boom. You hear this sound, and then all of a sudden, fucking Bill Goldberg, aka Santa Claus, just comes bursting through the goddamn fireplace, like just knocks right through it like a fucking cheap set, and just starts. What is the first thing he goes up and he jams those fucking knives right into James Caan's hands, right?
Well, first he punts the dog.
That's right.
And the dog flies into the ceiling fan and like,
yeah.
And then he has this one of his first great lines where Fran Drescher's like, "Santa," and does a really annoying fucking Fran Drescher laugh. And he's like, yes, Virginia, there is a Santa Claus. But then, he punts the dog. And then, he like does like a diving roll onto the table and just puts silverware through James Caan's character's hands to stick him to the table.
Yeah. And then he just starts going to town on everybody. Who is the person that he like hisses at and like they fall like fall backward onto like a spike?
It was just one of the random sisters. Yeah.
He was like,
she gets impaled on like an overturned chair. It's amazing. Yeah, dude.
Somebody gets the fucking Christmas star to the back. Like,
yeah, that's Chris Kattan. Yeah. And then I love how he blows fire into Fran Drescher's face and then drowns her in eggnog eventually.
It was just such a fucking epic opening scene, man. He just tears through him.
And then James Caan's is probably the best because he's like still stuck to the table after everyone else just got killed. And he because it's funny because just a couple like a minute or two prior, there's this whole thing about him complaining about how the turkey last year was terrible.
Oh yeah, he's like, I hope it's not dehydrated like last year.
So it's funny that that's how he gets like taken out because he gets Bill Goldberg's Santa Claus jams a turkey leg into his mouth and then slams him onto the table where it would kill you. It would kill you that way essentially. It's one of the most outrageous, like we use the term over the top, but I just can't believe that those like actors agreed to do that. It's so fucking out there.
That's what I mean. Like, cause I was like, they're all like, all of them have like notable roles and stuff like that. So it was just like, they must have had fun with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It looked like it would have been fucking fun to be a part of just cause it was just so fucking ridiculous.
True.
But I love that the credits kind of pop in right after that. It's like Satan's, and then like the words get bumped into Santa's sleigh or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, and then what? So
right,
we get that lovely little credit sequence where it's sort of like showing some sort of like ancient book or something.
Yeah. The book of exactly.
Yeah, and then it
we get introduced. Yeah, now it's Christmas Eve and we're in a town called Hell Township, which I don't think there would ever be a town named that. And we get introduced to this setting. We're at this place called Green Meats. Not to be confused with the green meats from Hey Arnold's. You know what I mean?
Yes, separate.
But we get introduced to, we don't learn their names real quick, but we get introduced to Nicholas here and also Mac. But we get introduced to Nicholas first, and he's dealing with this like super fucking rude like old lady customer.
Yeah, dude.
who at one point Mr. Green rings her up and she leaves and she's like, "Thank you and go fuck yourself."
Yeah, dude, she's got some fucking toot on her. Yeah, on the way out she calls like the lady fucking whore and just like then you hear like the jingle of the bell and she leaves. You're like,
yeah, it's like holy shit.
Yeah, this lady's fucking nutty.
But then she meets her demise in like another ridiculous scene. She's like driving drunk, like on the road, and all of a sudden, here comes Santa with his hell deer, as they're called.
Yeah.
And she's like swerving through the road, and he's trying to get back, and he's like, "Move, bitch! Get out of my way!"
Yeah.
Yeah. He has some better lines later in the movie.
He does, that
are like Christmas related, but
that one was so fucking good though to me. I was just like, what?
And then in like, of course, they ram into her and she just flies off this like perfectly placed mound of snow to flip in the air and crash and die, but the car doesn't explode.
It doesn't explode. It looks like we see maybe some fire, but damn it, no explosion. And then it takes us back to kind of the deli right after that, and what is it like it's like during this whole sequence you find out that like the deli owner, he doesn't like, you know, he's Jewish, he doesn't believe in Santa and all this stuff, and like, you know, and like he gives out like some gifts or whatever to the kids, like Nicholas and what's her name, like Kate or something like that. Mac. I was close. That was good. I'm looking.
Not even.
But like, it's like what's the fucking gift? Like, what's the name of it the gift that he gives like the Nicholas? It's like a clock that
a Games Illustrated clock, which apparently tells time in different places and time zones.
Games Illustrated clock.
Of course, this thing like comes into play later. Like, who would have thought?
Oh yeah. That's why I kept thinking with this movie, like there's so much like little things that you're just like, okay, that's gonna come into play later. Okay, that's gonna, you know, but yeah, then you kind of get, you know, it's basically just a lot of character exposition. You kind of Max taking Nicholas back to his grandpa's house.
Yeah.
Who earlier was old codger.
Yeah, he gets called all kinds of things. He gets called a crackpot, you know, and a loony and all this shit. But yeah, we also learn here on the car ride home that Nicholas explains that he's not really a big fan of Christmas because he never got what he wanted, and he even name drops like Optimus Prime and Castle Grayskull here, which is like, you know, in 2005 a lot of people weren't going to get those references, but it is what it is.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. I was like, you know, he probably could get those now, like at this moment in time, if you really wanted them.
Right. Right.
If he was so bent about it.
But then we do meet his grandpa. He ends up getting home, and, you know, it takes him 2 keys to get in because his grandpa like has all these like security measures to get into the house.
Yeah.
And we get this long drawn out scene where like the power gets turned out, and Nicholas is looking through the house and gets like kind of jump scared by his grandpa in the basement.
Mm. Yeah, and his grandpa's a fucking funny dude. Like there's like the sequence where kind of in this general time frame, he's like walking him up some stairs, and he like, there's like, I had the subtitles on and it says stairs creak in the subtitles, but it's very clearly a fart joke. Like he farts, and then there's this like wild amount like pause, and he goes like, and then like Nicholas finally gets it. He's like, "Oh, you wouldn't." He's like, "I said I'm sorry."
Yeah, because before that part happens, though, we get another like quick kill where Santa's on the streets, and this mugger like
the candy cane kill, dude. I love this one.
Yeah, it's great. Like this mugger comes up to like rob him because it looks like he's like a Salvation Army Santa, maybe. Yeah. And yeah, it's explain what happens since you like to kill so much.
I loved it, dude. He just Santa just snaps on him, man. He's like sucking on this candy cane, and he immediately like he like grabs this dude's arm and like puts him in a fucking lock, and like, you know, he's just thrashing him around, and then he takes this candy cane out of his mouth, and like it's like to a point, you know, it's like a shiv basically, and he just jams it in the dude's fucking eye and like throws him against a wall and shit, and like just immediately he just smacks that dude down so fucking hard. Like,
He even like throws him into a dumpster, and the lid's like slam. Yeah.
I fucking love it, man. Kind of meanwhile, I suppose back, you know, at Nicholas and his grandpa's, he's sort of, you know, they're kind of going through his house, and this is where you discover that his grandpa has like a fortified basement with like surveillance and everything going on, and like
the bunker,
the bunker, and you know, it doesn't help the case of like him being a little wackadoo, so you know.
Right, yeah, and that's like brought up and mentioned multiple times, but because we also start to learn like we get like part 1 of it here, and then it's shortly a little bit later we get the second part where Nicholas learns like he wants the truth about Christmas from his grandpa, and wants to know why his grandpa hates Christmas so much, and so grandpa whips out
that
the book of claws.
The book of claws.
It's ridiculous.
I love it. He starts reading it to Nicholas, and he's like speaking in Norse. He's reading it like right out of the page, and
that's right.
And Nicholas goes, "English, Grandpa," and he goes, and so this is one of those like really random moments. So then Grandpa goes like, "Well, if you don't, practice it and practice reading and speaking it, then you'll lose it basically or something." So at some point here, you understand that Nicholas also knows how to read and speak Norse language, ancient Norse language.
Which is so random.
So random. But yeah, you learn quite a bit. You learn that there was two entities born from virgins.
Including Santa was the son of Satan and a virgin. And
a virgin named Erica. A virgin.
And his birthday is where all these killings happened. They call it Dag of More is the term where all these killings happened, and that they would have a Mass of Christ or a Christmas. And then we get cut off here because we get a knock on the door.
Damn carolers.
Well, it's Mac this time.
Yeah, he thinks it's carolers, and he's like, and which is something I think it's funny. He's just like, it happens multiple times in the movie where like it's like carolers, or like they suppose that there's carolers, and somebody just goes like, "Why the fuck are they here?" But yeah, it's Mac, and she brings over a nice plate of Christmas meat for Grandpa.
It's like well, she explains it's like Wolverine meat that was
like it's like it's like her dad came back, like hunted some Wolverine and shit, so she brings him a plate of fucking Wolverine meat or whatever, and I just love it. Grandpa cracks open the tin foil, and it's just like raw, hairy, fucking nasty looking meat.
It looked disgusting.
It looked fucking nasty, man.
She also gives Nick like the world's cheapest looking Transformer toy.
Oh my god, yeah, dude.
I forget the name of the one they're knocking off, because one of the original Transformers was actually a gun that transformed into a robot, but this one just looks like a dollar store variant of said Transformer. He's stoked with it.
It had like two transformations. You cracked it open and then you put the arms out. No.
Yeah. Because at first he thinks it's a gun. He even makes some I forget what he says, but he makes some line about are you nuts or something? You know what I mean?
Yeah. He's just like, what? I kind of forgot about this whole sequence when I was watching it. I was like, why the fuck would she give him a gun?
Gun, yeah. But no,
when he finds out it's a Transformer, he says I'm as happy as a Make-A-Wish kid.
Yeah, there's some really awful dialogue in this movie.
This movie definitely. The dialogue showcases the time frame of this movie. Good old 2005. Then you kind of go to the the house of the Lord. Okay, so you get. I love it, dude. You just get the sequence of this pastor who I cannot pick that actor. I know I've seen this motherfucker before. It's so many.
His name is Dave Thomas. I don't know. When I was young, I remember watching this movie called Strange Brew with him and Rick Moranis in it, which was these characters they played in a Canadian sketch comedy show.
Okay.
So that's where you recognize him from.
Yeah, I definitely remember. Yeah, I definitely remember Strange Brew. He's just anyway, so he's really trying to squeeze the money out of his congregation there.
He's he calls coins.
Yeah, he calls people out. He's like, no coins in that plate. I want to see bills, man.
And then you instantly see him rolling up in some really expensive car.
Yeah, this Mercedes Jeep looking thing, and to
a strip club called Gold Diggers, where if you see really quick on the sign, and he mentions some of the names later in church when he's like after this whole scene, but the special stripper for the night, her name is Tess Tickler. Like, why would that be your fucking stripper name?
That's a fucking ridiculous stage name, man.
And this whole sequence is ridiculous and has two of like the most hilarious lines that he says in the whole movie, because so Santa pulls up in his sleigh and like has the valet park it, and he goes up to the security guard, and the security guard's like, "What are you doing here?" And he goes, first he goes, "I thought I'd stuff some stockings."
Oh my god. Yeah, and then he ends up like immediately taking that dude out with like a Christmas wreath on the door or whatever, right? Like, it's
great. It's awesome. He like makes the guy like flip over him onto it. It was like looked like a James Bond type move, you know what I mean? Where
dude,
he like
straight up. He like gave Goldberg some good fucking fight choreography in this shit.
Well, I mean, he is a wrestler, and later on he does use his finisher move on one person, actually. Well, one of his finishing moves. But anyway, yeah, he like flips the guy over with the wreath and then just like tightly bounds it around his neck, strangling him.
Yeah.
And then he walks into the strip club, and gets another great line where it shows like all the scenes of all these different like strippers and right as he's walking in, like a topless waitress is walking by, and he goes, "Ho, ho, hose." And then he like grabs her and like forcefully kisses her, and then points up at the mistletoe, but the bouncers weren't having it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, one of the bouncers, this big burly looking dude, just kind of like goes right up to him, and Santa just like immediately grabs like a string of lights and like ties him up and fucking strangles him with it or whatever, and like throws him back to the bar.
Yeah, he throws him back to the bar, and there's a guy that was like cutting limes like a scene before, and it accidentally like stabs the fucking the first bouncer, and he dies. And then like the other two, just there happens to be like a shovel and a pickaxe like that were hanging on the wall that they pull off, but it doesn't turn out too well for them, because one of them ends up getting like because Santa eventually rips a stripper pole out of the ground.
Yeah,
and like
there's this great sequence where he takes the moment to clean the stripper pole before he
disinfects it. That's right.
And then he rips it off. Yeah, and then the one dude with the pickaxe runs at him, and he like bonks the pickaxe back at the dude, like when he swings at him with this, and it goes straight into the dude's fucking forehead.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Go on." Dude.
It's great. And the next one's even better, because he hands the stripper pole to the other guy and then kicks it into a light fixture, and it just electrocutes the guy.
Yeah, he just zaps him, man. But that's not even enough, man. On the way out, when he like grabs a fucking chunk of coal, breathes some fucking life into it, some fire into it, and then like looks at all the strippers and goes, "Naughty," and like throws the coal and lights the place the fuck up, man.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, and I forgot to mention that the pastor made it out like he snuck out earlier, so he didn't die in the carnage.
No,
but yeah, that whole sequence is just fucking ridiculous.
Yeah, and I love that when he exits the building, he goes back up to his hell deer, and he like sees this like hat that he just spit out. So like his hell deer just ate somebody or some shit. Like ate the bouncer, the valet.
He ate the valet.
Jesus Christ, dude. Oh man, it's so fucking good. And then meanwhile, I feel like there's like they're trying to get cozy over at Grandpa's house. Watching a fucking like derby on TV, like a car crash derby or whatever.
Demolition derby.
A demolition derby. Oh my god, that's the word. I was like, there's got to be a better word for this. And yeah, it's just like, I don't know, like it's funny because like most of the time you see Mac and Nicholas, they're like bickering about something. I feel like,
yeah, they get in like a stupid argument here over. She mentions like how his grandpa's odd, and then Nicholas goes on this rant about how her dad's odd, like with
Yeah.
and it's getting this like dumbass fucking fight, which was so like pointless. She leaves, but then this is when Nick goes back to the Book of Claws and starts reading the rest of the story, and we get this like hilarious animated scene, which it looks like the animation from like some of those earlier Christmas animated movies, like
Totally. It had that like the like Rudolph vibe, right?
Totally, like the Rudolph and the Heat Miser vibe. Yeah.
Oh, the Heat Miser. Yeah. Yeah, dude. I actually thought I forgot how kind of cool this was in the middle of the movie. You know?
Totally.
Because you learn what I think is just like a really ridiculous like history of this character, right? So, like, Santa is being Santa at this point, you know, in this time in history, and it's like an angel comes down to like and inhabits like a man, like a body or whatever,
of an old man,
and of an old man, and challenges Santa to a fucking curling contest. Basically.
Right. Yeah, if the old man wins, then Santa has to give up all the slayings for the next 1,000 years, but also turn it into a day of glee. And long story short, the old man wins the round because he explains that, you know, Santa in his what's the word I'm looking for? Being cocky goes first.
Yeah.
And his curling stone gets right up to the hole, but then the angel goes and knocks Santa's curling stone in, and he wins. And so and then it like pans back to Nick, and he's like of course he finally comes to the realization. He's like, that was exactly 1,000 years ago.
Yeah. Whoa. Look.
like uh-oh.
and then he hops on.
This is a stupid scene. Yeah.
He hops on the internet search engine. Hoo-yah.
Yeah.
and then tries to find the Santa tracker. The Santa tracker on like in real life is like, it's just like a NORAD thing that they put together. So I thought it was funny. It was like the GoNAD website that he had.
Of course, it was like this like edgy 2005 joke where they're making fun of NORAD and it's GoNAD. It's just, oh man, it doesn't age well. It doesn't age well.
Most of it, yeah. And then, so he tries to track Santa through there, and like, is this real and all this shit. And then eventually he goes to bed basically, and you get this really funny cutscene of Goldberg Santa just like, okay, so I guess it's like you see this old couple, and they're kind of like, it's all cozy and joy. It's like daytime
because now it's Christmas Day.
Yeah. And like they're like walking past this like little like Jesus, baby Jesus
nativity
setup.
Scene.
Yeah, nativity scene. Thank you.
Yeah.
And Goldberg just comes out of nowhere with this fucking sleigh and just trashes right through it, destroys it, lops the head off a fucking like wise man, and
it is as if that scene wasn't ridiculous enough.
The next one was absurd, dude.
I completely forgot about this fucking scene because it's like this family on Christmas, and it's these two little kids that are like foul-mouthed little kids. Like one kid's like even says something like, "Can we open our fucking presents now?"
Yeah,
or something like that.
Yeah,
over the top. But dude, I forgot about this fucking scene, and it is totally something that would have happened in a low-budget horror movie like this, because they go to open the presents, and the presents like explode, and then next thing you see, it's just their like headless bodies like fucking sitting there.
They just blew their heads straight off. And then on top of it all, it pans to the grandma, and she just goes, "Fuck."
Oh, it's so fucking crazy, man. I can't believe they did that.
I can't believe it either. I was like, oh my fucking God, this is the best. This is the best.
And then we get another like we get another quick scene. This is what I'm talking about earlier, where the pastor's at church again, and he's praying for the salvation of all these dead strippers. Essentially, it's a really quick, like, kind of pointless scene, but it just further establishes that, you know, he's kind of a schmuck. You know what I mean?
He also names off like a handful of the names: Crystal Candy, Sierra Rain. What was the other one? Dixie Wrecked.
Oh yeah. That's ridiculous,
God, dude. But then shortly after that, we find our Santa Claus banging on the door of Green Meats.
Yeah. Yep.
And he's like, the owner, you know, he's like, get the fuck, you know, go across the street, man. We ain't fucking open. And you should know that you're better. You're fucking Santa Claus. Like, you know.
Right.
But Goldberg doesn't have it. He just kicks the door right the fuck in. Well, I love it. Actually, he punches the window out and then flips the open sign on and then kicks the door in.
Right. They like, at first they get in this like little battle of throwing stuff at each other, but then this is what I'm talking about, where he uses one of his finishers. He literally fucking spears the guy, but flies through the display case.
It was so good. It was so good. As soon as he did, I was like, he speared him. That man's gonna be dead.
I'm still surprised that he didn't jackhammer anybody in the movie.
Dude,
but he did.
I was waiting for it, honestly. I can't.
But yeah, so he spears Mr. Green, and then he uses the menorah to kill him in like a really cool way, where when you see him next, he's like hanging from the wall. But you know how you just mentioned how when he breaks in, he like flips the side to open. Well, when he kills Mr. Green and rams him against the wall, it flashes to like the counter of like the next customer, and the thing flips over.
I also love during the sequence when he's like pinning Mr. Green up against the wall. Mr. Green he like pulls out like a Star of David necklace and like shines it on Santa, and he's almost like, ah. It's just like so weird.
It was weird.
But yeah, I love it. He walks down the street and just like bumps into like a handful of other members of the Jewish community. It looks like
Hasidic Jews. Yeah, but before he does that though, real quick, when he kills Mr. Green, he's walking away eating like some like potato salad or something, but he walks by two pictures on the wall, one of a group of guys next to curling items, and then there's a picture of Grandpa, Mr. Green, and Nicholas, and Grandpa's holding like a curling trophy. It's real quick, like, but yeah, like you said, he walks by this group of Hasidic Jews, and he also hisses at them.
Yeah, dude, he hisses at quite a few people, man. The form of intimidation, apparently.
And then we get one of my favorite quick little cameos in the movie, which
you're talking about the gas station.
Yeah, we haven't talked about him since Wishmaster 2, but
yeah, man, I thought this scene was fucking great too. Like, one, I thought it was like, I don't know, I just didn't expect it, man. Like because I forgot I feel like so much of this movie. But what's this character's name? Oh, he doesn't have one. But anyway, yeah, tiny. We see a Tiny Lister appearance, and it's just so great, man. Like their little interaction at the gas station. Nicholas goes in to buy some gum or something like that, and he's like, "We're all out of gum. The supply man died at the strip club the other night," and he offers them the only gum they have, which is like something called like smoking gum. And it's just like, I don't know, it's just a really brief scene, and you don't see any more of him past this.
Right. He has a great line though, where Nicholas is like mentions how he's never like seen him before, and he goes, "I just moved here, homeboy. Too much dang violence in the hood." Which of course they had to have him say some like, you know,
random hood related thing.
Yeah, something like Friday reference, you know what I mean? But,
I know. It's fucking.
But yeah, he's only in it for that quick scene, but it's still like it's just random to me. But then the reason why this scene is kind of important is because after he buys his gum, he hears a radio report about like the vandalism at Green Meats or whatever, and so he runs back. He finds Mr. Green's dead body, and like removes the menorah. And Mr. Green like has a quick jump scare where he's still alive, like for like one more breath. You know,
his last words are "Santa's real."
Oh, that's right. Oh my God.
And then the cops show up and make a bunch of like ill-timed like Jewish jokes where they're like, this something here doesn't seem kosher.
Oh yeah.
You know? And like stuff like that. And then they haul off Nicholas and all those Hasidic Jews that were like that basically called in like the crime scene.
They also refer to them as those Amish guys.
Yeah. Amish. Oh my God, dude.
But yeah, they all go down to the police station, and Nicholas meets with the captain and tries explaining that, his theory that the Santa is real and he's evil, but that it'll end at 7 according to my estimation from my clock. And of course the captain doesn't want to hear any of it and calls Nicholas a nut and tells him to leave.
Yeah, he's like, so what you're saying that Santa's offing everybody who's naughty and nice? It's just so fucking ridiculous. Yeah, it's a hard sell, I guess. Like Nicholas, like I love it when he sits down. He's like opening line is something like, "This is something that predates us all." Like,
right. It's fucking ridiculous.
Hard to convince, I suppose. But yeah, that captain is just a do nothing, man. He doesn't fucking do shit. Well, but then shortly after that.
Yeah, he should have listened.
He should have listened. I love the little sequence of like these two bumbling officers who are at the crime scene and are like trying to figure out the killing pattern. They're like, that looks like the form of a Christmas tree.
The Christmas tree killer, yeah.
Yeah.
And the other one's like, no, it's like a geometric shape.
Yeah, he like explains this like geometric pattern and everything. And
then it looks like one of the other cops is like carrying a bomb, or he's like,
yeah. It's so fucking. This is a weird precinct, man.
Yeah.
But like right after that, you have just out of nowhere Santa knocking on the captain's door, and he opens it and just gets a fucking taser to the fucking balls, I believe.
Yeah, he does.
And then you just see Goldberg, like you see Santa walking back out of the fucking police precinct, and he's just like slayed everybody in the hallway there,
It's just all this carnage left behind. Yeah, he just essentially killed the whole fucking precinct.
Yeah. And then we see it's like Mac and Nicholas are driving their fucking like in a truck, and they're they're trying to figure out a plan. We only have like 4 hours or whatever it is at this point till Christmas is over, and out of nowhere a cop car just like starts flipping on their siren right behind them. And at first they think it's the captain because from afar it's like dude in a Santa suit, and he's like, God, this guy's just not letting up.
Right.
I forget that up until now I have to point out the captain's name is Captain Calk.
Captain Calk, yeah.
But once he gets a little closer, they realize that's Santa Claus. That's Goldberger coming at you, and he just starts running right at him as they're like trying to drive away. And
right.
He ends up on the roof of their fucking car. This kid, I love it. The Mac goes, pull out the gun from underneath the seat, and he pulls out this fucking rifle and just starts waving it around the cabin.
It's a shotgun, but yeah.
He's just waving it around, and eventually they get a fucking bullet in it, and they try to shoot Santa out of the truck, and they get him away, but they start driving off, and then he's just fucking gone. Like Santa just straight disappeared.
He gets blasted out of the truck, and then he gets up and like whistles.
Oh yeah, that's right.
For his sleigh, and essentially Nicholas and Mac get back to Grandpa's house and make it into the bunker.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where and then Grandpa makes a line about how it's midnight at the pole in 3 hours and 8 minutes, and then. We get this like reoccurring joke where now the carolers actually show up at the door. So Nick and Mac like go up to warn the carolers. But they're a little too late because Santa pops up just long story short, dispatches all of the carolers like in quick fashion.
Dude, he like breaks this lady's neck, he picks her up and then just like drops her behind him, and like she like smacks her fucking head on the banister and just like is toast.
It was almost like a military press slam, like another.
Dude, dude, that's what I thought. I was like, this looks like a move, man. Oh my god, it was it was great. Yeah, he just tears through so many damn people in this movie.
He does. He has a pretty high kill count.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he chases them back into the bunker, and Grandpa has pulls some keys that were hidden in a can of Tough Actin' Tinactin, which they make like a shitty joke about.
Yeah. Yeah, what are you gonna use Tough Actin' Tinactin on? And they escape through this little crawl space that's like hidden in the water heater tank.
Yeah,
and which is quite creative. But a couple things happen. So they get to their these snowmobiles, and they're trying to fire them up. And Santa Claus rediscovers the Book of Claus. Gets a good chuckle out of finding the story, I suppose.
Right.
But he also sees them on the surveillance monitor, so he knows exactly where to go.
Yeah, exactly.
And so, like I said, they're firing up the snowmobiles, and Nicholas, of course, gets his fired up, but for some reason, Mac can't get hers fired up. And so Grandpa starts biding time as here comes Saint Nick.
Yeah, and you kind of learn here that, it's pretty, okay, if it was maybe like a movie with a better budget, like maybe they would have done a better job of hiding the fact that Grandpa was the angel that, but they don't even try, they're basically give it away here that he was the one that bested Santa all those years ago.
Yeah. Well, because he's like, oh, you look like shit after all this time, and all this stuff. And so it's immediately you're like, okay, the mystery's gone.
Right.
But Santa, I love it. He's so fucking menacing. He pulls off like an icicle, and he's with the very clear threat of I'm gonna fucking kill you.
Right. And we don't get a payoff for that though. I thought that'd have been cool.
That would have been cool. But instead, what do we get? We get Grandpa.
Grandpa, he even has the line where he's like, Grandpa got run over by a reindeer.
Yeah, dude. Grandpa gets mowed the fuck down by that hell deer.
It's amazing.
And then Santa stomps him on top of it. But yeah. And this is something that my roommate pointed out. So shout outs to her. They at this point, Mac just hops on Nicholas's snowmobile. And my roommate was like, if they could carry two people, why didn't just Grandpa get on the other one?
No shit. Yeah.
But anyway, there's this leads directly into Nicholas and Mac on the snowmobile in this epic escape sequence. Where Santa's following him on his fucking reindeer sleigh, dropping boxed Christmas bombs.
If you've never seen this movie, this isn't doing it justice because it's fucking ridiculous.
Then they're just tearing through this giant snow field, trying to escape. Boom! Every time one goes off, he's flying the different. I was like, whoa, low key, Nicholas is a hell of a snowmobile.
Yeah.
But this culminates in them hitting a snowbank at one point and launching towards all these skeet shooters.
Which comes into play. You kind of think it's random right now, but they come into play again. Yeah, they come into play again later, but eventually they make their way into town where we get reintroduced to.
Also, hold on, I got a note. During this sequence, Santa fires up his jet engine and rams the Mackenzie in the back with his reindeer.
That's right.
That was so funny. He's like, whop. Anyway, we'll get. So, where does this lead?
We see that they're getting closer to town, and there's all these people that are gathered in town around a tree, like doing like a carol or whatever. And Pastor Timmons is leading it. And there's this really quick scene where they see Santa coming down and he's trying to like save himself. So he's running through the crowd. He like knocks over a woman. He's like, "Get out of my way, whore," or something like that.
He calls, so like all like it's like these ladies doing like one of those bell things, those bell ringer things. And like, they're all like, I don't know, in their like, 40s or something like that, just like, and he like knocks a couple of them over and goes, "Get out of my way, skanks."
That's right. That's right.
It was like the only use of the word skank in the whole movie, but it stuck out so fucking hard. Yeah,
he runs off, but Santa like comes up on him, like rams into him, which sends him flipping backwards into the sleigh, and then he has another one of his great lines here where Timmons is like, "What are you doing?" And he's like, "I'm just trying to spread a little Yuletide fear."
Yeah. And then he just fucking knocks the dude out.
Knocks him out. Yeah.
And then
it's great.
And he like tears up the town, man, because like on his way flying in, he like lights the Christmas tree on fire with his jet engine and stuff. But then you follow up with Nick and Mac, and they're like trying to break into like the school, I think. And there's this great little, like, I thought it was so funny, like the difficulty with the fucking window. Like, Nick tries to punch the window out and hurts his hand, and then he like frantically tries to find something to like throw into the window and stuff. And then like when they were trying to get inside, it was so funny because it was just like, I feel like they forgot how this window worked. They pushed it open a little bit, but then like they couldn't. They had to do this like really awkward like slide in where they're like, and it resulted in Nick like grabbing some titties or something like that, which was like such a weird moment. Like, anyway, just such a bizarre sequence.
She was like, "Do I have to make all the first moves in this relationship or something?" Like, it's ridiculous.
So they discover, like, as they're like kind of getting into the school, they discover that Grandpa must have snuck in the Nutcracker, which we forgot to mention earlier.
Oh yeah,
the Nutcracker that Grandpa was working on was shooting some sort of projectiles earlier in the fucking movie. And now it's in Nicholas's backpack with a little note.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot we mentioned the fucking the projectile firing Nutcracker invention. And he also Nick checks his clock again, and we learn that it's according to his calculations, there's 58 minutes. And then so at this point, Santa's on the roof. He takes off his jacket. This is where you like get a shot of how jacked like Goldberg was at this time.
Dude, Goldberg's physical fucking presence, man. Like, holy shit.
Totally. Long story short, he makes his way into the school, and they get in this like chase scene, and we also see another one of his powers that we haven't seen yet, where he like emits a fireball from his mouth.
Yeah, dude, he just straight spits a fucking fireball. It was a fucking.
I forgot about that.
Low key, one of Santa's best powers. Okay.
They try hiding it. They try hiding in the library, but he hears them. We get. What were you gonna say?
I was gonna say we get another like random Christmas line from Santa. He's like, he sees them like hiding, and like he picks up a copy of the Christmas Carol, and he goes, "Oh, Christmas can sure scare the dickens out of some people," or whatever. Right.
I mean, before that, he walks in, he's like, "Not a creature is stirring."
Oh my God, that's right, dude. It's two in the scene. Holy shit.
He even it's funny because essentially he like flushes them out with a tree ornament smoke bomb.
Yeah.
And then you mentioned the really awful like Dickens line. He even throws the fucking Christmas Carol book, and it fucking bashes Nick into the face. It's hilarious.
Like smack dab in the middle of the fucking face. And I love his reaction to it, dude. He's like, "Ow, that hurt." And he's like complaining about it on into the next scene. He's just like, "That really hurt."
Like, no shit, it fucking hurt.
Well, yeah, fucking hell yeah, it hurt. But then they like somehow they find themselves like stumbling into like apparently the hockey rink part of this school. And
I've never seen a fucking school with the fucking ice rink.
No, man. What is this? The fucking like school that they went to in Mighty Ducks 3? Get out of here. But there's this like weird scene. Like I always hate these scenes in movies because it just bothers me because I'm just like, get the fuck moving. But they're just sitting on the ice, like having this moment where, you know, they almost kiss and stuff. And shortly the lights pop on and fucking Santa with a Zamboni comes chasing him down on the rink.
Jesus Christ.
And the only thing that stops him from running them over is a glowing, magic-looking fucking curling stone.
Yeah. And then we get like where this should have been the reveal, but they already ruined it. Like where you're like you already know at this point that who Grandpa is, but then we get like Angel Grandpa essentially, who shows
glowing
up.
Angel Grandpa.
Yeah, he like shows up, and this is where he challenges Santa to a curling rematch.
Oh yeah,
essentially. And we, you know, Santa stomps on the ice and makes this like flaming hole in the ground, and they make a new wager where if Grandpa wins, Santa goes back to being good and stays that way forever. But if Santa wins, Grandpa enters the hell hole to be a slave for all eternity.
Yeah.
So pretty high stakes.
Yeah, I would say so. Grandpa kind of has a lot riding on this one. Mm-hmm. And so they queue up, and this time Grandpa goes first.
Mm-hmm.
Gets his stone right to the edge of the hole.
Yep.
And you know, how can you beat that? All right, I don't know. Santa finds a way. Santa always finds a way.
Some trickery.
He straight picks up Grandpa and fucking throws him down the ice rink into the fucking hellhole. And I don't know if you noticed, the scoreboard changed. I mean, you probably did a focus on it from 1-0 to 6-6-6.
Oh yeah. So I feel like up until this point, like the movie was like, I don't know, man. I feel like they just rushed with the ending, because from here on out, it's just kind of like this stupid, nonsensical way of the, like, they could have come up with a much better way of the ending. Like everything else was a lot better than like how the movie culminates with how Santa gets taken out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do kind of agree with you there. Like it's strange. It's like, it just all of a sudden feels really, like, I guess like you said, kind of just rushed, right? So
rushed, yeah.
So like, you know, Grandpa gets thrown into the hellhole, and then it's like just it's, you know, back to Nick, Mackenzie, and Santa Claus. Mm-hmm. And what does Nick do? He pulls out that fucking trusty nutcracker and just lets one rip right into Santa's chest.
Yeah, because Santa like emits another fireball, but
that's right.
But the nutcracker like shot like goes through that one into his chest and like mortally wounds him. You know what I mean?
Yeah, dude, just like takes him down. I was like, that's it, just a fucking chestnut to the fucking.
But well, it's not it. But yeah, you think that's it, because they go to the hole, and Grandpa's still like hanging there from this. I don't even know what it was, but it looks like a badge from his service from time being an angel or whatever.
Yeah.
He gets up but then we see Santa leaving the ice rink on the Zamboni. He goes to the sleigh where this is like the last like really good Christmas related line. He goes back to his sleigh where Timmons has been sleeping this whole time, and Timmons wakes up and is like, "Oh, I had the strangest dream." And Santa goes, "Visions of sugar plums?"
and then bonks him, right?
Yeah, just knocks him out again with a, and you're like, what is the point of this? But we learn it later.
Visions of sugar plums.
That was one of my favorite lines back in the day. Like I when I first saw this movie, and I meant to mention this earlier, when I first saw this movie, it was years and years ago. I was working at Red Robin in downtown Spokane. Mm-hmm. And shout out to Levi if you're watching this, man. I hope you're doing well. But we were like, loved this movie. We'd always hang out and watch this movie. Like, we were doing a lot of drinking back then, so it was always like, you know, we'd go party and then come back to his house and watch this movie, and we'd always die laughing at the visions of Sugar Plums line.
Oh my god, dude. Yeah. And so this kind of leads to Nicholas comes up with a plan at this point, I believe, right? Where like he decides to try to lure Santa back to those skeet shooters from earlier.
But real quick, before then, we get this like scene where Grandpa explains to him how he lost his powers for his grandma, and then this is where he mentions that Santa is powerless, and they decide to go after him. But for some reason, Grandpa's caught in like this like magical rift and can't leave the ice skating rink, so they're forced to go on without him, and he just dissipates.
Yeah, it was so random. It was like, okay,
it was, but. If that wasn't random enough, continue what you were saying with this whole skeet shooting scene, because this is the dumbest, fucking most random way to take out Santa. Like,
dude,
oh my God.
The whole idea is to lure Santa to the skeet shooters so they can blast the fuck out of him with their rifles and shit.
So
right?
So they can hunt a reindeer.
Hunt.
How Nicholas explains.
They go, you've always, like, they literally tell people, you've always wanted to kill a flying reindeer, haven't you, or whatever, at some point. And like, but the random character they introduce in this sequence with the voice.
Oh my God.
Thing, like you know, like this is just this random dude who looks like, this is what Dale Gribble from King of the Hill would be if he, you know, was like way older in the future. He just decked out in all of his favorite cigarette gear, like hat, jacket, like he's got like a fucking glove on, like llama cigarettes or something like that.
The point of the character was pointless though. It was just so weird.
It was just so weird. Like I couldn't understand why that was like an aesthetic for the character. Yeah. You know what I mean? But
more random than that.
They decide so Nicholas has learned the call of the reindeer at this point and whistles the call, and here comes the sleigh, lo and behold, just flying right at the crowd, and they just have this moment where they're all unleashing on the fucking reindeer. And then out of nowhere, just a fucking rocket just flies up and blows the fuck out of that thing.
It's fucking ridiculous. I forgot about this. Like, it's been so long since I've seen this movie, and I remembered so many other parts of it, but I didn't remember how they quote unquote killed Santa.
Yeah.
But it's so random. Like, I feel like they literally ran out of ideas and were like, well, we could kill him with a rocket.
Yeah, dude, seriously, it was so fucking bizarre.
You just see the rocket fly through the air, and then Mac runs up to her dad, and her dad's just holding this giant fucking like white camo bazooka.
Yeah.
You're like, what the fuck?
It's so strange. And she's just like, Daddy, you know, or whatever. Like,
it's ridiculous.
Yeah. And there's like fake chunks of meat that are like falling on him for a second. And so you're just like, that thing must have gotten obliterated. But then you get this sequence where they're like all these like skeet shooters and her dad and everybody's like kind of interacting with the police, and they discover the whereabouts of Pastor Timmons.
Yeah, he's like in the Santa suit, impaled by a flagpole, and they're just like, oh, he must have been the Psycho Santa killer. Like,
oh, it must have. Oh, clearly it was him.
Yeah. Case closed. Yeah. Like, oh, wow.
God. Yeah.
Like, the guy was a piece of shit, but the fact, you know what I mean, that he's.
I don't think
it's just.
Yeah. This is so bizarre.
It was.
I just, I don't know. And then, you know, it ends with, you know, obvious, like a kiss from Nicholas and them, but then you kind of, well, you think that's the end for a second. The screen goes black for like a moment, and then it picks up at an airport.
Oh my God, yeah. Santa is like dressed up like a fucking like he's going to Sturgis. and apparently he's going by the name Mr. Shayton. And yeah, he's long story short, he's boarding a flight to the North Pole via Winnipeg. And it's just so stupid.
Oh my
God. Like I said, like parts of the movie were great, but I feel like they just got near the end and like, I don't know, just ran out of ideas because it just seems so cobbled together. Like it happened so quick. Like,
yeah, it was strange. I get the vibe that this movie didn't have like the ending in mind. You know what I mean? I think it was like all about the stuff that they put in it. You know, like the killings and like the choreography and everything. You know,
because there was like, as much as we laugh on it, there is actually some pretty good like choreography that Bill Goldberg does, and like because like I don't think he was like wrestling full time at this point. It was like after he quote unquote retired at I think it was like WrestleMania 20. I think it was WrestleMania 20, which would have been in let me do some really quick math here. Hang on a second. So WrestleMania 14 was in 98. Okay. So six years later would be 2004. So this must have been like right after he quote unquote retired, and then he came back like years later. But so I'm pretty sure that he wasn't wrestling at this point, but he was still fucking like,
dude. Yeah, like again, like you know, his like physical presence. He's a huge dude. Yeah. But then on top of it, he was doing like, you know, all sorts of like tumble moves and like jumping around, like, you know, across tables and like, you know, spearing somebody through a fucking glass case. You know, like it was like the physicality was there, man. It was cool. This movie's such a fucking riot, though, man. People need to watch it if they fucking. Like if they haven't seen it, just for the random scenes, like the kids getting their heads blown off, and it's like so low budget and over the top. Like it just, yeah, there's just nothing but fucking fun in this movie. Like they had to have had so much fun making it. You know what I mean? Because it's just if someone sees this movie and is like thinking that they were trying to make something serious and they're like put off by it, like you're an idiot. Yeah, you know what I mean? You're missing the fucking point, man. And you're missing the fuck out. If you haven't seen this movie, like you owe it to yourself to watch it at least once. Hell yeah. Because it's like I think it's like an infamous like C grade, you know, Christmas Santa killer movie. And so random. Like I remember the first time, I remember just like stumbling upon it being like, Bill Goldberg? I know, dude, that was the thing. I was just like, what's Goldberg doing in this? Oh my God. I love it. Man, yeah, this one's a gem. It's definitely got to be on the holiday movie list, you know, if you have one. But hopefully we're hoping to get out at least one more this week of another holiday classic. Something to kind of, you know, maybe watch while you're eating cookies and all, right, doing whatever the fuck you do. Yeah, we're coming up on Christmas here, but go see Spider-Man too. Oh yeah, dude. You know what I mean? This is amazing. It's one of those, you know, I was talking with Lucas on Matinee Edition. I was saying, you know, it's one of those movies that like, it's why you go to a movie theater sometimes, you know, where it's just like, whoa, dude, it blows you away. It's an immersive experience. Like it's why you're in that dark room looking at that, you know, surrounded by all that. And so get in there. I've been to a lot of movies recently, but this was like, it was like a nearly packed theater. People were clapping at certain moments and cheering. Like it was cool to see that. You know what I mean? Hell yeah, dude. There were those moments where you were like, oh fuck yeah. Yeah. So many, man. I cannot wait to watch that movie again. You know for sure. I mean? All right. Well, we'll leave this episode there. Corn dogs. You make sure you listen on up, and we'll have another one for you fresh. I guarantee it.